What's up, everyone? A couple episodes ago you saw us put the cam and the 350 for Loud and Ugly. We also put the gear drive on the front. We ran some cam events, got the numbers that we were looking for. So next thing we're going to do is do piston and valve check so that we can get the head gaskets ordered for this motor. And then I'm going to give you guys a rundown on everything I've got to do to my truck before July so that I can make it to Dragway 42 in the Blue Suede Cruise. Alright, so first step we're going to do is pop one of these valve springs out and then put one of these little check springs in there, and then we'll take it from there.
We already took the degree wheel off the engine before we decided to video, so I'm just going to explain what we did. We set up TDC with our dial indicator and our degree wheel like we did when we degreed the cam, and then we were going to find before top dead center, after top dead center, 10 degrees on either side. So 10 degrees after top dead center, the intake valve is closest to the piston, and 10 degrees before top dead center, the exhaust valve is closest to the piston. So we're going to check both of those in the location.
So Dad, tell us what we got going on here for piston to valve check.
So we set up a dial indicator on this thing so that we have this little checker spring in here so we can push up and down real easy and check it. So right now the valve is all the way up, and we want to check the distance as we push it down, how far it travels before it hits the piston. And I think the distance for the intake valve was 80 thousandths clearance, and we're going to go and check this right now. And as I spin, got 1, 2, 3, 72, 372. So we've got plenty of clearance in there for the intake side of this. Now we're going to switch over to the exhaust and check that one. One, 2, 3, 73. So 373 on the exhaust valve. So we've got plenty of clearance because we're still going to add our head gasket, which when it's crushed is 40 thousandths. The ones that we decided to run on this engine. The next check we're going to do on this is we're going to check the valve springs, because we want to make sure that these springs that came in these heads have enough pressure at the installed height for the cam that we have in the engine. So we looked up our cam specs, and it says we need 190 psi at 1.850 inch installed height. So we're going to go over here to the vise. We've got a spring clamped up in here with a little gauge, and I'm going to use my calipers here, and I'm going to have Travis dial in the installed height as I measure it, and we're going to see what kind of pressure we end up with. So I'm bringing this in right now to the installed height. They recommended 1.85. Oh, I went past it a little bit. I'll creep back up on it here. Right there. And it looks like if we read our gauge, we're right around 100 psi at our installed height, and we need to be at 190. So these springs aren't going to cut it. They're just not strong enough. We're gonna have to order some new springs, and we'll probably order our head gaskets up at the same time.
Alright, so going forward, we've got all these things I've got to do to my truck before July. One is getting this motor done, and every day we've just been ticking off little things off the list like we just showed earlier on in the video. Next thing we're going to be doing is getting this trans sent out. This is a 350 turbo that I talked about a couple episodes ago that I had picked up. We got a torque converter and everything for it already, but I just got a trans brake kit for it. So I'm going to send this out to a transmission guy, and he'll get that done, and then we'll just bolt it up to the new motor. Next thing's going to be figuring out everything I got to do to pass tech inspection. So right now I've just got a 4-point cage footplate welded to the frame. So I'm going to make braces that go from the frame up through the floor to the bottom of this crossover rail that I have my seats mounted to. And then I'm going to run one from this door bar through the firewall and then up to the front part of the frame. One of the things I was slacking on when I built the truck was proper place to mount the battery. It's a pretty nice little setup other than the strap. I just used a Columbia belt there. But I do have to get this on the inside of the frame rails with actual proper battery tie downs for drag racing. Removing these trailing arms that come stock on these C10s and the coil springs with the shocks, I'm going to a coilover setup just like we did on Cal's 56 Chevy, and I'll be doing a custom ladder bar setup and mounting some wheelie bar brackets to this Ford 9 that I've got in here. That way when we add all this extra horsepower and we got to re-gear the rear end also, do the motor and trans swap, this thing's going to be ready to do some wheelies. With all that going on, we've got a lot of time and I've got a lot of money to put into this truck, so better get to work, and when I get home from work I better get to work on this. So you'll be seeing a lot more episodes about all the stuff I just talked about, and then probably in between we'll be getting some stuff done on the 56 as well. And one last thing, I've been hearing tons of positive feedback from everybody about these videos, as from people all around the world on social media, and then people in our hometown at all the car shows. But like I always say, just make sure you subscribe and like the videos. Subscribing is free. You just gotta have a YouTube channel or a YouTube account, and then all you gotta do is hit the red button. So thanks for all the support, guys.